Hi guys, can you hear me? Hi Joy, lovely to see you here. Hi guys, can you see and hear me okay? Brilliant. Hi everyone, happy Friday. It's so nice to have all of you here. I've got a few, sorry for the technical errors. I was trying to basically connect my microphone, which some days it wants to work, some days it doesn't, but let me just catch up on all the comments. So, hi Angie, hi Wanda, lovely to see you guys here today. Hi Anna, Monica, lovely to see you as usual, and I love the sunflower emojis and your mention of the piggies. Hi Peter Brick and Joy. If anyone doesn't know Joy Truscott and hasn't been to any of her sessions before, she's absolutely incredible. And yeah, she's just got such a soothing, sweet, wonderful energy. And I always feel like watching one of her lives is basically like sort of the audio and video version of a hug, as far as I'm concerned. You'll never be welcome to a live with as much sort of sweetness and warmth. Just catching up on all the messages, saying hi to everybody. I love how all of you say hi to each other as well. Hi Sonali, lovely to see you. I can't see everybody along the bottom, so I'm just saying hi to those who kind of mention or say anything in the comments. Oh Joy, so are you. Oh Sonali, well I'm glad to see you here, and I've obviously seen you before in Joy's other lives. Hi Christine. So today is a little bit different. I basically thought, I know kind of, if anyone wants to catch up on any of my previous sessions, they're all on YouTube, where I talk a lot more sort of in depth about building kind of community and connection and little tips and things kind of around that. And there will be a little bit of that today. There's some interesting things that I've heard in the last week or so that I'll share. But other than that, we're going to get the guinea pigs out later for anybody who wants to see them, because I know Pumpkin was very popular on the last live. And then I also have a couple of bits for us a couple of nice sort of things that we can do together. I've got some crystal oracle cards, so we can pull some of those, and depending on whether people want kind of individual ones or one for the group, or probably both, I'll end up doing. I've also got this wonderful book that I absolutely love, which I imagine you guys, I don't know if you're seeing it in reverse right now, if you're seeing it the right way around, but it's called Messiah's Handbook by Richard Bach. And the way that this book works is it's kind of part of a series of other books, but this particular one is really interesting because it's kind of made up of all of these little wise kind of quotes. So if you open it to a random page, the thinking behind this book is that you'll come away with a message that's meant for you. So what I thought would be fun is if I tell you guys what the page numbers are from presumably 1 to 203, at some point in this live, you guys can each give me a number that comes to mind for you, and I'm going to read out a quote for each of you on that basis. So I'm going to open it randomly at a page just to kind of show you what the feel is and what you can kind of expect. 98 or 99? Let's go 99. Every event is subjective, not what it means that matters, but what it means to you. So that's actually quite interesting, because there's something else that I was going to talk about today, and partly why I decided to do kind of a more relaxed, less sort of formulated live, was that I've just come back from Istanbul really late last night. So I'm still a little bit kind of, catching up on life admin, kind of winding down a bit, etc. And one interesting thing about this trip, well, Sonali, feel free to message me and I'll give you some tips and advice. To be honest, the trip started out feeling a little bit like it was possibly cursed. So many things went wrong in the first half of the trip. So, for example, we got to the airport, our flight was slightly delayed, but had a really nice flight. It was great. And then we got to the airport to pick up the rental car, and the rental car company just didn't exist. It just wasn't there. That kind of name of the rental car company didn't have a shop or a stand or anything there. There was a million others, but not that one. And then there was a phone number that we were supposed to call, and we called the number several times. Nobody picked up, and yeah, it was 2 a.m. or something by that point. So we had to get a taxi to the hotel, which was like an hour away, spend like £40 on that. And then the next day, on the first day of our holiday, we were trying to speak to the company, trying to sort it out, and then we had to go back to the airport, drive in a taxi another hour, to then go and pick up the rental car. And then basically what had happened is when we spoke to the company, they said that, oh, we operate under this other company, they're like affiliated with us in the airport. And they never told us. It didn't say that brand anywhere on any of the documentation. There was no, there was no way that we could have known or would have known. And then when we got there the next day, they basically told us that they didn't even have a car under our reservation. There was no reservation. Like the company that they partner with didn't, and that we booked through, didn't tell them about our booking or that there was a reservation. So essentially the company that was in the airport then sorted it out and it was fine. But it was just kind of, that was like another sort of day gone. And there was lots of things like that sort of happened. I'm not going to go into detail about, I think I just brushed the microphone a little bit. I'm not going to go into detail about kind of all the things that went wrong, but that was kind of the note it started out on, and then there was a couple of other issues. And I'm someone personally where I don't really like curveballs. I don't like it when, things don't go to plan. But in this situation, I actually found myself quite kind of calm and relaxed in the grand scheme of things, because I very much had the feeling or the energy of, well, there's nothing I can really do about it, or, it's done now, sort of, let's just try and enjoy the holiday as much as we can. So I think that quote that we just had from the Richard Bach book was very much like, it's not what happens or what, it's about the meaning of things, so what something means to you. And that could have been like really, really disastrous and sort of ruined the whole holiday. Or you can kind of just take it with a pinch of salt and sort of be like, well, these things happen, and at least it got sorted out eventually. Does anybody want to, while I have the book in my hand, does anyone want to give me a number between 1 and 203? And I will read out a little message for you. So for anyone who's missed it, and Sonali, I did catch that. So anyone who's missed it, this book here is called The Messiah's Handbook, and it's part of, I think it's a sequel to another book called Illusions. And it's basically by a guy called Richard Bach. And the idea is that when you're looking for kind of a message or you need some guidance, if you pick up the book and then go to a certain page, it will give you a message that's meant for you. So let's see, joy was first page. And what I'm doing essentially, I read out one of the quotes, but I've said that if anybody here wants a little message, if you give me a page number between 1 and 203, I will read out a little message for you. So Joy said 183. Right. So life is it literally says life is full stop. Life is, that's where you go for healing, comfort, energy, perspective. And I would like to say that's also where you go to Joy's sessions when you want healing, comfort, energy and perspective. So for anyone that doesn't know Joy, please follow her, attend her sessions. She's just so sweet and so wonderful, and I'm really grateful for you being here as well today. And Peter Brook, you hoped the holiday rejuvenated me in the end. I hoped that as well. I'll be honest, I'm really happy to be home. It wasn't a bad time, but it definitely wasn't what I expected. And Istanbul, personally, I felt was a lot more expensive than I'd kind of been led to believe, and than I'd expected. Okay, so Sonali has asked for page 22. So this is for Sonali. And by the way, when I read these messages out, if they kind of resonate with you, or if you've got any further thoughts to add on that you want to share with kind of the community or what they mean to you, please do. 22. The highest nation is a structure of values, and its patriotism is conscience. So I personally struggle to kind of unpack that. And that might be because I'm tired and a bit jet lagged. But Sonali, tell me if that means anything to you. Angie, you have asked for page 3. One of my 3 favourite numbers, actually. So, Angie, you are free to create and honour whatever past you choose to heal and transform your present. So you're free, and I think this is a nice message for everybody. You're free to create and honour whatever past you choose to heal and transform your present. Peter Brook, page 25. When you seek inspiration, it's ideas you want. When you pray for guidance, it's ideas that show the way. But you have to pay attention. And that kind of reminds me of, I don't know if you guys have heard this joke. It's kind of very much like a dad joke. So it's that thing of like, oh, you know, someone keeps praying to God to win the lottery. And then they're complaining, saying like, why is God not listening or not answering my prayers? And why am I not winning the lottery yet? And then God speaks to him and God says, well, if you want to win the lottery, I'm trying to help you, but you need to buy a lottery ticket. And I don't know why, but the kind of the bit in this where it says, you know, but you have to pay attention, just reminded me of that. Has anyone else heard that joke? Okay, so Wanda, 44 for you. I've been seeing like 44 and 444 quite a lot recently in like angel numbers, and also 222 and 2222. Okay, 44. What's going to happen has already happened. What you perceive is up to you. And Peter Brook, you've got illusions. Yeah, it's a great book, isn't it? Havana, 13 for you. Lucky for some, as they say. It's called a default belief. When you agree to rules before you think. When you go along because you're expected to. 1 million of those in a lifetime, unless you're careful. Just catching up on the comments. Oh, so Peter Brook, you've had a similar break and you're going home today. Maybe we'll speak on message about our trips, if there's crossover. And Sonali, I'll give you some recommendations for Istanbul because, yeah, there's a really big difference in terms of like experience and pricing depending on where you go and what you do. But I did have some really, really wonderful food, although it's very easy to kind of go to places that seem sort of mid-range and then they end up being really, really expensive. But there's also a lot of really great kind of more local places that are great value. Howard, I love all of those sort of symbol emoji things. Although they're not emojis, they're kind of prettier and more intricate. They remind me of the really like delicate, like sort of line drawing, the really fine tattoos that some people have. You'll have to show me how to kind of do those. So Sonali was supposed to go to Vienna last month and the trip started out so bad, so you never even made it, hence you booked Istanbul. Well, hopefully Istanbul will be better for you and I can kind of share my experience and hopefully that will help. So for anyone that's just joined, we've just been looking through this book by Richard Bach called The Messiah's Handbook. It's a sequel to another book called Illusions, and ultimately you can kind of flick through and open to any page and it's supposed to give you a message that's meant for you. So I'm going to pop that away for now, but if anybody would like to have a message from that later, I might bring it back out. I'm going to give you guys a choice of what we want to do next. So we've got 3 options. We can either get one of the guinea pigs out to say hello. We can look at crystal oracle cards for a bit. Or I have this book that is kind of silly and fun. But I mean, it's a Friday and ultimately I just wanted this to be like a fun community hangout. And it's called 2 Kinds of People, a visual compatibility quiz. So obviously we're not checking if we're kind of compatible with each other, but it's I'll give you an example of kind of, you know, what the options in this book are. So one of them is like this one, where, you know, do you put the toilet roll like this or do you put it like that? So we can go through and do a few of these and see whether there's themes in the Insight Timer community of how we are. So, you know, like, do you prefer a candle or do you like having a home air freshener? So the choices we've got is I can get one of the guinea pigs out. We can do a couple of crystal oracle cards, or we can look at this Two Kinds of People book. And we will probably get through all of these things throughout this session anyway. So yeah, if people want to add in the comments what you'd like to do next. Meanwhile, I'm going to share something interesting that I heard this week. So, I don't know if anybody heard about this week, or I think it was last week actually, but has anybody heard about the sort of, I guess, is it news? I don't know if it's news, but the sort of social media phenomenon that's been talked about, but except it's not social media, it's real life for once. So in Spain, there's this thing that's been happening with supermarkets and dating. Does anyone know about this? If not, I'm happy to share. So for anyone that's just joined, we're voting between pulling some crystal oracle cards, doing this little game / quiz that's to do with kind of, there's two options for different things, like, are you the kind of person that puts toilet paper facing forwards or facing backwards? Or as another example, do you have your ice cream in a cup or a cone? That's kind of the second thing that we can do, or I can get one of the guinea pigs out. So I think crystal oracle cards are the most popular choice at the moment. I'm going to give you some more time to vote, but this is the story that I read this week, and I recommend looking this up. So Spain's hottest trend is bringing back in-person dating. Here's the craze that's using pineapples to find love. And you know, if you've heard about the other pineapple thing, it's not that. A grocery store chain in Spain is part of a viral TikTok trend. Here's how it works. Singles looking to date place a pineapple in their grocery cart. They look for other shoppers with a pineapple in their cart. See someone cute, bump their cart. It's going crazy. Pineapples are sold out. What's fascinating is how this trend highlights the profound yearning for genuine connection, spontaneous adventure, permission to do something silly in real life. This is such a rejection of swiping on dating apps. Business and communities that use games and silliness in real life will win in the coming years. And do you know what's funny? I never even read that bit of text. I watched the video that was attached to this. And it's kind of funny because this is what we're doing today. We're having a slightly more kind of fun session, aren't we? So yeah, there was a woman who kind of made a little video about it explaining this phenomenon. That's what I watched. Hang on, that happened with bananas there years ago. Suspect fruit promotion. Peterbrook, is that they were sold out or people used them to date? So from the video I watched, that's all the article thing says. But from the video I watched, because by the way, this has nothing to do with the supermarket. The supermarket chain didn't invent this, and it's all over Spain. So it's like, I can't remember what the name of the supermarket chain is. I think it might be like Mercato or something. But it was happening all over Spain, and they also, so pineapples were for kind of, if you're looking to date or for a relationship. I think lentils, you put lentils in your cart if you're looking for like a really long-term sort of settling down relationship, because the idea is that lentils last forever. And there was something else if you were looking for kind of a casual hookup or like no strings attached. Hang on, Peterbrook, can you tell us more about that? So people used them, hand up meant something. Can you elaborate on that? I'd love to know. So yeah, it's just interesting that, and it's kind of literally, it seems like it's been a really big trend, and I wonder if that sort of thing will happen in other places in the world. But apparently, you basically put the pineapple or the lentils or whatever in the cart, and then you go to the wine aisle, and then you bump carts with somebody if you think they're cute and they're looking for the same thing. Just gonna catch up on the comments while we've got everyone. So we've got a very popular vote for the crystal oracle thing. I'm gonna do one for the group, and then if anybody else would like one, I mean, I might look up the banana thing. Let me see if I can figure it out. So it's in Australia. Let's look this up. Hi, Evie. Also, hi, Linda, if I haven't said hi already. I hope you're having a nice walk. Was it you that said you're walking your dog? Yeah, it was. Okay, so banana dating Australia. It sounds so weird. Let's see what we get. Okay. Singles night at a supermarket. Urban myth. So put bananas in the top of cart to announce you're single and looking. Any insight? So this is on Reddit and someone's asked this question and put a picture of a banana on. Okay. Would be pretty confusing and awkward since most people put them on top to prevent them being squished. I think you're meant to go around eating one without biting, slowly. And then someone else said, don't forget to keep eye contact while eating. Oh, God. Yeah, I can't find... I mean, that was just Reddit. Oh, okay, there's a news article about this. Okay, here we go. It's from the Daily Mail online, though. Okay, young shopper discovers open secret supermarket dating trend in wealthy Aussie suburb. It's a hidden trolley code. Does anybody know what time singles go to the neutral... Oh, by the way, the pineapple thing in the other supermarket in Spain, it was at a certain time on a certain day of the week. So I think it was... I know it was a certain hour window. I think it might be on a certain day rather than every day. So... Okay, does anyone know what time the singles go to the Neutral Bay Woolies on Mondays? My co-worker told me it's a thing, and if you put bananas in your cart, it means you're here as a single, but I don't see anyone else relatively young and attractive with bananas, so I think it's because I forgot to ask her what time everyone goes. So yeah, that's the only thing that I know that I've managed to find out about it. Okay, here we go. So supermarket signals explained. This is from the Daily Mail, so let's take this with a pinch of salt. An upright bunch of bananas, you're a man looking for a woman or man. A pineapple the right way around, you're a woman interested in finding a man. An upside down pineapple, you're a swinger looking for another couple. Putting a peach in a man's trolley, you're showing interest in a male shopper. I feel like that, I don't know why, but that just sounds really inappropriate to go and put something in someone else's shopping cart. Bananas with the tips down, you're not looking for... I don't know if I can say... I don't know what the boundaries of what we can and can't say on Insight Timer are, but you're not looking for anything physical, shall we say, on this occasion. That's so strange. Okay, anyway, back to what we were going to do. We were going to do some card readings. So... I'm going to pull one for the group first of all. These cards have the most lovely smell because they came in a box. They were like a sort of spiritual gift box set thing that my work got me a number of years ago for my birthday, and they had a really amazing I'm distracted by the comments. I'm having so much fun with all of you tonight, and I hope you are too. And I think I'll do this kind of more casual, fun, silly live every so often. So the Crystal Oracle cards, they smell of this really amazing incense. I think it's white sage flavor, scent, fragrance. And yeah, they're literally, I've had them for like probably at least 5-6 years, but they still smell of that incense. I've bought more of that incense since because it's so nice. Right, they're quite big to shuffle. I'm pulling a card for the group. Does anyone want to be my assigned copy and paster of Crystal Oracle card definitions? Because unfortunately this set didn't come with a book, so I mean I can Google it, but if anyone is very quick with copying and pasting or very quick on their phones and wants to help out, please feel free to copy and paste the kind of meanings of these cards into the chat and I can read them out, just to save me from being distracted while chatting to all of you. So this is the one that I've got for everybody, and I've never even seen this before, and I didn't even know it was a thing. I'm gonna catch up on the comments though, because they're very funny. Okay, so Anna says, so funny, I'm reading the article and says the new Tinder, strolling around the supermarket with a pineapple in your cart until you bump into another cart with a pineapple. And Linda says, and if you confuse your fruits, you might be in trouble. And Peter says, don't even want to think about watermelons. Oh, I wish I could do the laughing emoji for you guys. Okay, so the card that we have for us today as a group, and then we'll do individuals, is lemon quartz. Can you guys see that? So, feel uplifted and cleansed with sunny energy. This kind of feels like what we're doing here. I'm going to see if I can find any other information about lemon quartz, which I didn't even know was a thing. So, I typed in lemon quartz and it like just jewelry, loads of jewelry came up. So, lemon quartz, used in meditation, lemon quartz is believed to filter out distractions, aid concentration, and open memory. It's also believed to reduce anxiety, bring in money or assistance in times of need, and decrease negativity. Advocates recommend it be used with the third eye and crown chakras. So that's the first card that we have for us as a group. Does anyone resonate with that message? Feel uplifted and cleansed with sunny energy. Okay, let's see who's asked for a card. I'm just scrolling up. So Stephanie made the first request for oracle cards. So I'm going to pull a card for you, and I will pull one for everyone else. Hang on. Let me see. I've just got to scroll up. So, the chat jumps. That's why I've got to, hang on. Do you know what? I'm going to just start with Stephanie's card and then we can go to the next one. So, Stephanie, you have a card called Howlite. Well, a crystal, not a card, but a card and a crystal. I've also never heard of Howlite. It kind of looks like a marble countertop kind of vibe. Keep your mind serene and de-stress when tension builds. I'm gonna just look up if we can find any other information on Howlite. I also feel like this is a little bit of a learning piece about different crystals also. Oh, Peter Brook, you have Howlite and you know what it is. Fantastic. So, it's... what is it good for? Metaphysically, Howlite is known for its calming and soothing energies. It helps to absorb anger and negative emotions, bringing about a gentle stillness and peace. Howlite calms communication and helps avoid confrontational situations. It aids in reducing anxiety, anger, and emotional intensity. I think I need some Howlite, to be honest. Yeah, I feel like sometimes my emotions get the better of me. And people who know me very well in real life will understand that. And yeah, I could do with reducing anxiety, anger, and emotional intensity sometimes. Okay, let's see. Who else asked for the oracle cards? So the last person I can see is Angie and Sonali, who voted for them. If I've missed anybody... oh, wait, that was before. Okay, cool. So I'm gonna go through everybody as best as I can. If I've missed you, please let me know. Bronzite. This one is for Angie. Restore harmony and self-confidence in all you do. So what I might do for some of these, just to kind of get through as many people as I can, I'm going to just kind of read out the message on the card. But if anyone wants to look up what the message they get is and share it on the chat for everyone else's knowledge, please do, if there's kind of more info on what it represents or things to know about it. So Bronzite was for Angie. For Sonali, hi Richie. Sonali, you have got Hessonite, which again I've never heard of. So it's quite beautiful looking. And also, I don't know if I showed Bronzite for Angie, but this was Bronzite. I personally sort of prefer these kind of more like see-through stones to the ones that are more kind of rocky. Chestnut, it's kind of stripy as well. Improve your happiness and embrace all the good life brings. And Sonali, from what I've kind of seen of you engaging in other people's like sessions and stuff, I think you definitely do kind of embrace all the good that life brings. So yeah, hopefully this card will help and is kind of a good representation of your energy. Okay. Let's see who else has asked for one. So Stephanie got one, Angie got one. Anna. Let's get one for you, Anna. I will get through everyone, and Richie, of course, you can have a reading. Okay. This one is a bit of a pronunciation challenge as well. Chrysoberyl, I believe. C-H-R, and you know, let's make this a spelling exercise as well. Chrysoberyl. Carry forgiveness with you, then you can always move forward. It's quite a pretty one, that. It kind of matches my hairband a little bit. Yeah, sort of, doesn't it? Okay, let's see who else wanted a card. Wanda, I believe. If I've missed anybody, please let me know. Okay. Howard, you've been using lemons a lot in dishes lately and in your smoothies. Amazing. I had some really nice lemons in Istanbul, actually. They tasted like a bit like yuzu. They had a more like floral flavour to them. Okay. So, this is for Wanda. And you have a really pretty colour crystal. Morganite. Feel the love and the power in your chakras. Today brings promise. Does that ring a sort of does that have like a association for you, Wanda? Does that feel like it's true? Is today bringing promise for you? And do you feel the love and power in your chakras? Okay, let's see, who do we have next? The name of the deck is this one. It's crystal 60 crystal oracle cards. Your gemstone readings revealed from Soul and Spirit. So, who else asked for a card? Richie, of course you can have one. Let me get you one. Oh, Peter Brook, you've heard of beryl but not chrysoberyl. I haven't heard of either. And Peter Brook, you can be next after Richie. So Richie, we have Andalusite, which is this one here. Balance yourself in times of insecurity. Be stabilized. Does that sound like something? It's quite strange, actually, guys. I'm just looking at all the cards that I've pulled, and there's kind of a bit of a theme here in terms of colours and the visual sort of. Let me see if I can show you. So if you look at the colours that we have, and the kind of in the order as well, there's a lot of like sort of brown greeniness going on. It's kind of like a greeny yellow, white grey, sort of browny, greeny yellow, pale pink, and again a browny one. You know, we haven't had any purples or greens or any other colours, which like, I don't know if it's just me, that's quite interesting. Okay, so Peter Brook, the next one's for you, and then we've got Julie. Okay. Another pronunciation challenge. Cabochon. Release your stresses and embrace inner peace. Something I know I need to do. That's a really pretty colour. And also, just as I was saying, we haven't had any like purples or greens or blues. We got a blue. Okay, and then Julie. I mean, I think we could all do with releasing our stresses and embracing inner peace. It's kind of why we're here, isn't it? On Insight Timer. Okay, Rhodonite. This is for Julie. Be clear in your communication and you will be strong and successful. And look, it's another pretty like pink and black one. It kind of matches the picture sort of just above as well, which if anyone wants to see is this. And they're part of a kind of series of other pictures. So I've got one just over here as well. And then there's another one directly in front of me, but I can't turn my camera around just now. Does anybody else want a card before we move on to the next part? Would you like to see the blue card again? Okay, this is Howard. Howard, would you like a card? Have I pulled one for you? Does anyone want to see any of the cards again? Richie, did I not? I thought I gave you. I thought I did one for you. Unless there's more than one Richie here. I thought we had Andalusite for you, Richie. This was the one. Oh, you want to see it again? Right. Sorry, I thought I was losing my mind. I was like, I'm sure I pulled a card for you. By the way, when I show these to you, can you see them the right way, or is the writing reversed for you? Okay, cat. Let's get you one. Okay, perfect. Yeah, because what I can see in my screen is backwards. So, yeah. So when I'm seeing it, when I'm holding it up, what I can see on my screen in front of me is the other way around. Ooh, okay. So, this is for cat. And this is another one that I haven't heard of. And I'm hoping that you guys are able to see the colours because they're very subtle, but it's very pretty. The card is Kunzite. Open your heart and mind and allow them to connect. Might try and see if I turn this off. Can you guys see that a bit better? It's kind of got a very light pink. It's like, it's a bit like rose quartz, but much lighter. Ah, okay. So this one, I'll read the message again. Is that far back enough for you to read the message? Open your heart and mind and allow them to connect. And Howard, I'm going to pull one for you just because I don't think we've had one for you, and you seem quite enthusiastic about the crystal cards and engaged, so it's only fair that you get one, I think. Oh, you have a very pretty one. Tanzanite. Feel your spiritual energies and connect with higher realms. Look at that. That's such a beautiful colour and card. And we have 88 meditators here, angel numbers repeating. So that's and it's funny how after I said there was no kind of purples or greens or blues, and we've had sort of 2 purples and 2 blues. Yeah, Anna, connect to higher realms. Feel your spiritual energies and connect with higher realms. Oh, I'm so glad that resonated, Howard. Would anybody else like a card before I put the Crystal Oracle deck away for now? Somebody who's called me would like a card, so I'm just going to address you as me for now, because I don't know your name, but feel free to share it in the chat. But this is the Crystal Oracle card that's come up for you. This is one that I also haven't heard of. Marcasite, and I'm hoping I'm pronouncing it right. Marcasite. Be expressive and courageous. Now is your time. I think that's such a lovely, such a lovely message. Be expressive and courageous. Now is your time. I love it when we hear kind of, positive things like that, where it's like, now is your time. So I'm going to take a brief, not necessarily a pause, but I just want to say thank you to Joy for the very kind and generous donation. And if anybody else would like to support me, all kind of donations are very, very welcome. I'm a fairly new teacher on Insight Timer, but other ways you can support me if you're not in a position to donate are sort of following me on here, sharing my tracks and my sessions with kind of friends and family and other people who you think would either enjoy them or gain value. And also you can find in my Insight Timer, my bio on here, there's links to my kind of YouTube channel and other places you can find me, and you can also follow me there. So I'm going to do one final oracle card for the group. If anyone else wants one, you've still got time in the chat, and even if you want to request one sort of a bit later in the session, I'm happy to pull one for you then as well. But let's kind of close this bit of the session on an extra card for all of us. Lepidolite, Lepidolite. So again, one I haven't heard of. This is what it looks like. It's got kind of pinkish bits. It's also a little bit like brown and white as well. Allow happiness to guide you through life's choices. I can relate to that. We have pulled today for all of us 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 cards. And yeah, I literally said earlier when someone requested page 13 of the Richard Bach book, I said, 13 lucky for some. So it's funny how that's come back round. And I'm gonna pull this book back out for anybody that joined. So if anybody would like a little quote or a little message from this book, I kind of read out some of them earlier. Give me a number in the chat from number 1 to number 203, and ultimately I'll read out a little kind of message or quote for you from it. So for anyone who doesn't know this book, you're meant to be able to just kind of open it and turn to a page, and it's supposed to give you guidance that you need. Oh, Karen, 88. And that's also where, like earlier, I noticed when there was 88 meditators here. So we're coming full circle. A lot of numbers are repeating, which is supposed to be a good sign. So 34. This is 4D. When you dream, all the scenery, characters, events, perils, and outcomes are built from your own consciousness, the darks and oppressions as well as the delights. Same with the world awake, though it takes you longer to build it. So I think that's a really nice message. Can you relate to that at all, Dee or anyone else that's here? And also just a little reminder, which I like to do every session, if you need a little nudge to drink some water and hydrate, please do get yourself a drink or get yourself a glass of water or a tea or something. And also for anybody based in the US, one of our kind of lovely Insight Timer friends here, I don't know if she's on this live session, but her name's Tea Lady Nat. Some of you might know her from other teachers' sessions. She's just started a new business venture, kind of making and selling tea. And she doesn't ship internationally yet, but it looks absolutely amazing. Her teas, just the flavours and the names are so creative. And yeah, I really recommend that. So we have 100 people here. Hi everyone that's just joined. Welcome, welcome. So we had page 88 for Karen. So guys, just for anyone that's just joined, if you give me a number from 1 to 203, I can read out a little message / like guidance quote for you. So 88. How do you want to come out of this experience? How do you want to be changed because of it? So can you relate to that at all, Karen? Is this like a question is it about something specific that that comes to mind when you think about this? How do you want to come out of this experience? How do you want to be changed because of it? Oh, Howard. Howard is celebrating today a milestone on Insight Time at 100 days of meditation in a row. And where I can literally see your comment, and then directly underneath it, I can see 100 meditators there. And it's funny, there's been a lot of repeating numbers in this session so far. So Linda, page 16 for you. Right. anger is always fear, and fear is always fear of loss. I can certainly relate to that. Anger is always fear. So ultimately, I don't know how much kind of you guys resonate with this, how much you know about this sort of thing, but they do say that the root of all kind of anger, upset, like any sort of big reactions or kind of strong emotions is usually fear. And then for Chantal, we've got 33. One other thing that I really, really wanted to do in this session today is if there's anything, any sort of questions, concerns, kind of goals, ambitions that you guys have, I would absolutely love if you're open to kind of sharing or asking in the chat. And if me or anybody else that's here can support you or kind of, give you like some feedback or so, like, a little bit like, an agony aunt kind of situation when people used to write into the magazine. If there's anything big or small, kind of silly or serious that you want some feedback on, or you just want to kind of share and get some like varied opinions on, please feel free to like share those things and put them in the chat, and we'll have a bit of a kind of Q&A sort of sharing circle type thing. So let's see, 33 for Chantal. You know nothing till intuition agrees. You know nothing till intuition agrees. Now, I'd be interested to know what you guys feel about that quote and what comes to mind. But for me, what comes to mind is I had a realization a number of years ago that, when we ask other people for advice, or when we give other people advice, we only take that advice when we're ready to, and when we actually reach that conclusion ourselves. So I'll give you an example. If you've got a friend who's like in a terrible job or a terrible relationship, and they won't, and they you've been saying to them for years that this isn't right for them and blah blah blah, they will only walk away from that situation or change something when it's kind of right for them, and when they're ready, and when their intuition aligns or agrees. And I notice that sometimes that you can give someone advice and they'll kind of take it, but it's more sort of coincidence that your timing of giving that advice lined up with them being ready for it, because quite often that's not the case. I'm just gonna catch up on some comments. So Howard said, beneath anger is vulnerability, and vulnerability is a superpower. Yeah. I've been also reading this really interesting book called Get Out of Your Own Way, and it talks about, there were some really interesting things about anger in that, and I might see if I can find my iPad and read out a little quote around that, because I think that'd be really useful for a lot of us. So Dee has asked me to talk about my indoor plants. I have so many plants, and I will tell you a bit about all of them. I'm not great at knowing the names for everything, but ultimately I started off with one snake plant in lockdown, and I bought that, I think it was like after lockdown, I can't remember, but I bought one snake plant, and then, I think it was well before lockdown, a couple of years before lockdown happened. And then over time, I kind of got a few more plants, maybe I bought like 5 or 6, and then I ended up sort of propagating them, splitting them up, and I knew nothing about plants, but I ended up then having like millions of plants from just like sort of splitting them up, and also just growing them over years. So this one here, this really big tall one behind me, this little guy, this was from IKEA, and it was literally like this tall, and it came in a little test tube, and it's grown so much, and whenever people see that plant, they're always surprised at how big it is. And I'll show you guys, this is another one that grew massive. That like money, I think it's called a Chinese money plant, but there's other names for it. That's actually much bigger than it looks there. It's like probably like this wide now. But it again started off like this big, and then I have lived here like 8 years now, and that plant maybe is like 4 or 5 years old. But yeah, they've grown. I think they like it in here because my apartment has like quite like big windows, so I think they get a lot of natural light. Yeah, I kind of do have my own indoor tropical rainforest. The problem I have is that So when I didn't have guinea pigs, having lots of plants was great, and they didn't take up that much space. But like now, because I've got the piggies and I've got the plants, yeah, there's a lot more space to take up than it was previously. And I'll show you guys like the little other plants in this corner, which I think some of you might have seen before. I'm just literally turning the laptop around, so sorry if it's a bit of an awkward position. Okay, let's catch up on all the comments, and then I'm gonna get. I think did I miss anyone else for numbers? I think that one is a bamboo. Yes. So we had Linda. I feel like someone put in a different number somewhere that just joined. Okay, let's see. Linda, you don't get angry, you get hurt. Me too. 28 for Pav. And then I'm gonna go and get that bit, because I think that comment about how to use anger is really interesting. So 28. Your philosophy is a way of looking at the universe that guides you in daily life. You probably won't find it in textbooks. Okay, so... Oh, Dee, you found a snake plant ditched by a train station, rescued it. Yeah, I found a couple of plants actually in our kind of bin room that I've rescued, and they're doing really well. Yeah, my apartment so it's like it's not a bad size. It's a 2-bed apartment. But I'm in East London. So when I moved here, there was basically like nothing here. We didn't even have a supermarket. And since then there's a lot more kind of new builds, and it's been great because I've said this in previous session. But so this is like a living room kitchen. So basically my kitchen is like there and my living room's here. But do you know what it is that makes it look huge? I've just got a massive sofa that takes up most of the space. But yeah, it's a kind of normal, like, it's a normal size of, like, you know, where you get new builds. I mean, it's 8 years old now, but I had really lovely feedback. So when I went to Istanbul, my mum was staying to help me look after the guinea pigs, and my cousin, who's actually my mum's age, so almost more like an aunt than a cousin, was also visiting from India, and I got distracted by the comments as usual, and essentially they kind of wrote me some messages. So my cousin and her friend, who was also staying, wrote me some really sweet messages that said that even though they haven't like seen me since I've been here, and this is the first time they'd been to my apartment, they said that they could feel my like personality and my like energy in the way that I've kind of created my home and my space. And I'll be honest, like, I've been here 8 years, and when I first got here, I had, you know, like old furniture that was my flatmate's brother's old furniture or something, and it was just, you know, it was cheap IKEA furniture but like super secondhand. And then over time I've kind of replaced things and gotten you know, things and the added touches, like, you know, the stuff on the wall, like the art. I literally only got that, I think, maybe like a couple of years ago, and this room was the only one I got these 3 pictures that are kind of part of a set. And then I only got art for the bedrooms like this year, and stuff in the hallways and stuff. So it's been a really long process. I mean, I'll be honest, I only got blinds in my living room this year, like maybe a month ago, because they're really expensive, because they fit onto each part of the window, because our windows are kind of tilt and turn. So this is probably not that interesting for most of you, but you know how if you see this window here, like the little corner one that opens, there's no clearance above it, so you can't have a blind or a curtain above it because the window needs space to be able to open. So yeah, but the main reason I got it is because we've been having really hot summers in London, and those of you who are in London might know that. And I just thought with the guinea pigs, I just needed to be able to keep them shut in the morning so that it didn't heat up loads overnight here. Blossom Violet, lovely to see you. And I actually read your comment that you were the 100th here. So I'm going to go and quickly find my iPad, because I want to read out the thing that came up around using anger effectively, because I think that came up. So I'm just putting a message, and I may pick up a piggy on the way. Bear with me. Hey guys, so I've been reading this book on the Books app on the iPad, even though I'm a big fan of real books, but this is just where I got a copy of this one. So this book is called Get Out of Your Own Way, and there's a couple of books that are there's a couple of books with this name, so I can look up who the author is and add that in. So this book is made up of different sections that are all about like getting out of our own way and ways that we kind of maybe hold ourselves back or don't act in a way that's helpful for us. So, getting so angry you make things worse is the name of this chapter. And there's a couple of quotes like, anger is a short madness, which I think is true, frankly. And no man, and that was by Horace. And then the second quote is, no man can think clearly when his fists are clenched. And that's a quote from George Jean Nathan. Haven't heard of him. So I read this literally earlier today. Yeah, I know. I have heard of people doing kind of insight time at book clubs. I think what I've been doing tonight, because I think this is the first live you've come to, is I usually do kind of like read a little bit from a book if I've come across something, or like a little quote or things like that. But you can also catch up with my previous 3 lives on YouTube, and this format, today's live, is a little bit more of kind of a community hangout type thing, so it's a little bit different. The others are slightly less kind of fun Friday vibes, but I like to think we still have fun and we still have a laugh. When we played a game on the last one with Danny when it was his birthday, most of you probably know Danny from other sessions. So this one, let me read. Marianne was the only woman on the writing staff of a TV show. Her gender had never been an issue. She was always treated as an equal. Then she took a maternity leave. When she returned to work, she found that her ideas were no longer taken seriously, and her new assignments were beneath her level of skill and experience. It was as if, in her absence, she had been demoted. The problem was compounded by Marianne's commitment to breastfeeding. Each time she excused herself briefly to pump milk into a container, one colleague would bellow moo, while the others made breast jokes. Marianne was enraged, but she knew that if she unloaded on her co-workers, she would reinforce the stereotype of a hormonal female who can't fit in or take a joke. Losing her temper would also defeat her own purpose, which was to regain the respect she had long ago earned. So there's more to this story, but just to add a bit of a context, like this book is quite old as well, because I think that nobody would ever be able to get away with that now, that kind of awful behaviour. So Marianne was right, of course. You can gain momentary relief from venting your anger, but often at the risk of doing something you later regret, and losing the moral high ground in the bargain. The opposite choice, to suppress the anger, is equally dangerous, because the feeling will fester and perhaps lead to depression or psychosomatic illness. As I told Marianne, there is a third option. Convert the anger to conviction and act on the basis of principle. Doing this arms you with the clarity, courage and strength to take effective action. I advised Marianne to think about the principles that her colleagues were violating and find a way to stand up for them. At the next opportunity, she addressed the group. And I really liked this response, and it made me think how I can kind of be more Marianne in my own life. But this is what Marianne said. I think we agree that we should all act professionally and treat each other as equals. So if you think providing food for my child is an unprofessional distraction, I'll stop doing it. On one condition, You guys stopped taking personal calls, talking about your dates, and interrupting meetings to talk about football. Tit for tat, no pun intended. So I really, really liked that that's what she said. And this is what the writer had to say. By acting from conviction and adding a touch of humour, Marianne put a halt to the offensive behaviour without sacrificing her dignity. Then she was able to address other issues, such as her diminished responsibilities, from a position of integrity and strength. Had she acted hurt or defensive, her grievances would have been discredited, and she would have lost even more respect, probably even her own. Whenever you can transcend your personal feelings and uphold strongly felt values, you gain something far greater than the thrill of retaliation, the courage and power of conviction. And the usable insight here, which the book has usable insights for each chapter. Anger makes you wild, but conviction makes you strong. And taking action, it kind of gives you a couple of bullet points of what you can do. So Howard has a share. It's a 2-day course called Using Anger to Build Something Beautiful by Jen Knox. Is that on Insight Timer, Howard? And if so, thank you for sharing. I'll have to look that up. So this book is called Get Out of Your Own Way. And I'll go through the bullet points that it shares as well. So I was recommended this from... I'm kind of part of a community and doing a course around anxious attachment, which I have, I guess I have anxious attachment. Like, that is my attachment style. So I'm doing, I'm part of a course and community around that, and this was one of the books that one of the therapists there recommended to me. I'm just looking up who the book's by. So it's by Mark Goulston and Philip Goldberg. Get Out of Your Own Way, Overcoming Self-Defeating Behaviour, and it was published in 1996. So these are the kind of bullet points that it shares around how we can take action. Whether you're dealing with offensive colleagues, a stubborn spouse, a disobedient child, or a brazen bully, here's how to convert anger to conviction. And they're not numbered, but I'm going to number them. Number 1, cool off. Resist the urge to act impulsively and take some time to reflect on the situation. 2, ask yourself what has made you angry. The answer is usually something you regard as unfair or unreasonable. 3, identify the principles that are being violated and put your conviction into words. Oh, Monica, you've got to go. Oh, never mind. Well, yeah, I'll send you some guinea pig pictures or videos at some point instead. Or, what I might do is when we have them on, you can catch up with the kind of replay on YouTube and see them there. But bye, Monica. Thanks for joining. And then the 4th point is determine the best and most creative way to stand up for your principles. So does anyone have any kind of situations that they want a creative solution for that we can all kind of think about or brainstorm around together? Because I think that's one of the things that I did want to cover or do in this session. So if anybody is like brave and feels like, either getting out of your comfort zone or, potentially taking the opportunity to have some support or wisdom or knowledge from all of us and from this like lovely shared community, because I think, we've got a lot of people here that all have different life experiences, different skill sets, and different perspectives. So is there anything that anyone is like stuck with or wants a different perspective on, or kind of wants to like share or ask? It can be something small, something serious. I kind of wanted this to be a bit of a Q&A as well, if anyone can use some extra support or has any questions or needs a bit of I don't know. I think there's a lot of things that this community offers. So if anyone wants to share anything or ask anything, please do, particularly if you think it might be helpful. Oh, Blossom Violet, get some more sleep. And thank you for being here. So Howard, your question is around anxious attachment. as well. So it's not a good style. How do you change that style? So, Howard, I don't know how much you know about kind of attachment styles and anxious attachment. Do you have much context on it? And is that something that others would be interested in hearing about as well? Because I can share a little bit, like a little kind of overview, and also just my experience, or, you know, what I'm doing to grow from and heal and improve it for myself. And, you know, what it looks like. I'm actually reading a book called Attached at the moment, which is quite famous, and many people recommend and kind of talk about, and that's like one of the foundational sort of, I guess, books around anxious attachment and attachment style. So thank you for sharing, and I'll get to that just after I respond to Howard. So one thing that I've learned about anxious attachment and attachment styles generally is, so secure attachment is kind of, you know, the good one, but even people who have a secure attachment style, so there's secure attachment and insecure attachment. Now, secure attachment is where generally you have a foundation from which, typically in relationships, you can respond and interact from a calm, peaceful, reasonable place, and you're generally like loving, and you know, you don't have any sort of concerns or worries, and you're generally like positive and peaceful and happy in relationship. And then from kind of when it comes to insecure attachment styles, there's 3 types. There's anxious attachment, and Peterbrook, thank you for joining. And yeah, you can catch up on anything that you've missed on YouTube. But it was so nice to see you, and thank you for being here. Good night, guys who have to go. And yeah, so back to insecure attachment styles. So there's the main 2 insecure attachment styles are avoidant and anxious, and they're basically 2 sides of the same coin. They're both the opposite of secure attachment style. Now, avoidant attachment style is where, you know, growing up, you ultimately came away with the feeling or realization that you couldn't rely on your primary caregivers to meet your needs. And so you essentially distance yourself from people, and your kind of overarching subconscious like programming or thought processes: I can't rely on or trust people to take care of my needs or meet my needs, and therefore I'm not going to let anybody get too close for me. And you know, that can manifest in ways like having a fear of commitment. If you have an argument or a conflict in a relationship, or generally your instinct is to run rather than resolve. And on the other side, and with anxious attachment, which is the other side of the same coin of avoidant attachment. So anxious attachment is where, again, you couldn't rely on your primary caregivers as a baby to meet all of your needs, or, you know, you didn't fundamentally feel like safe and like your needs were always met. So you kind of basically develop the need to kind of cling, and there's a fear of abandonment or a fear of your needs not being met. And that the ways that shows up is kind of, you know, clinginess, like being overly, like for me, for example, being overly critical. So you're essentially looking for ways of proving that, you know, someone's going to like abandon you or not meet your needs, etc. I mean, there's lots of ways that it shows up. But yeah, so I mean, ultimately, anxious attachment comes from a fear of abandonment, and you're kind of always on high alert for anything that shows you that, you know, you're not loved, or, you know, you can't rely on the person, etc. And so for anxious attachment, the things that are really important to you generally are consistency, follow through, you know, people doing the thing they say they're going to do, etc. For avoidant attachment style, generally you'll find that needing a bit of space, freedom, not feeling tied down are the things that are important to you. And what's interesting that I was reading about today in the book Attached is that when someone who has an insecure attachment style, which is avoidant or anxious, is in a relationship with someone with a secure attachment style, generally that rubs off on the person who has the insecure attachment style, and they can generally have a happy relationship. But what usually happens is people with anxious attachment and people with avoidant attachment styles, because opposites attract, they usually end up being attracted to each other, and then they both exacerbate the qualities in each other, which is why, you know, quite often there's the common trope of one partner being too clingy and the other one needing space. And what I'd recommend in terms of like healing attachment styles or improving it. So first of all, it's a spectrum. So there might be some things that, you know, you find triggering or more challenging, and other things that you're fine with. And then also, it doesn't have to be that you had a big trauma or a big, like, you know, horrible thing happen in childhood, or that you were really neglected. That's what people commonly think or associate, but actually it can be a lot more simple than that. So it can just be that, you know, you weren't always like picked up when you cried. It can be smaller things like, oh, you know, your parents were busy working, so they didn't have that much time for you. Things like that. Like even something simple like, you know, your parents worked long hours, so you were in after school clubs, or with a babysitter or whatever. Or, you know, when your parents came home from work, they were tired and didn't have the capacity to like engage with you or speak to you like loads. Or maybe as a child you didn't feel heard. So it's it's a lot of it can be really small things that, you know, don't necessarily weren't like parents being bad parents and things like that. So I'm just going to read Tommy's comment because I think it relates to this, and then we're going to go to E. So Tommy, the first 2 years of a child's life, their brainwaves are in delta, so they're basically asleep with their eyes open. And as they began to interact with the world, their waves changed to theta, like a twilight state. Mystical experiences, but the first 6 years of a child's life, they're completely in their subconscious mind, because that's what the brainwave patterns do, and because of that, all their attention is on their inner world feelings. So they have experiences that happen to them, and when the experiences happen, they pay attention to their feelings as the primary notice for them. So if they have experiences where they don't feel safe, secure, or feel abandoned, then that feeling is programmed into their subconscious mind. So when they have similar feelings as an adult that have branded them, they return back to that 2 to 7 year old child. They behave in similar ways because that's all they know. No one showed them how to learn and grow in situations like that. And I can personally relate to that. I think in times in relationships where I feel sort of, let's say, like neglected, or like my needs aren't being met, or, you know, let's say there's been a lack of like consistency, and I feel that fear of abandonment kicks in. And then I literally have kind of sometimes like reactions and responses that are sort of, you know, what you that are more kind of like childlike than adult-like. And yeah, it's quite interesting how that kind of plays out. And the other things that we can do is sort of, you know, things like meditate, looking after ourselves, because when you self-regulate better, you can then, like if you're kind of hydrated and well slept, and you're exercising regularly and looking after your nutrition, you're overall like you're at a more balanced level. So then when things happen that might trigger you, your baseline is already slightly better than, you know, if you're kind of, let's say you're tired and then you're going to be more kind of irritable and snappy. When a trigger comes up, you're going to be able to handle it less effectively. So, right, let's go to E. But I'd say with anxious attachment, there's loads of information online. I think like YouTube is a really helpful place as well. Obviously, there's lots on Insight Timer around that and healing attachment style. But I'd recommend the book Attached. And then there's also another book that I've had recommended to me that I haven't read yet, called How to Be an Adult in Relationships. And I think there was one other thing that I was going to say, and I can't think of it right now. So if it comes back to me, I'll mention it. So E, a friend who, and by the way, if anyone else has any questions or little bits they kind of want insight from the group, we're just having a bit of like a Q&A/sharing circle now. So if there's anything that we can help support you with, give you perspective or guidance, or like, you know, just have a little chat around, please share, and we're here to kind of help and support each other. So, and one other thing I'd mention, because I read from that book earlier that was called How to Get Out of Your Own Way. One of the things that this therapist who also recommended this book to me said, she's from the anxious attachment like course and program that I'm part of. She said that sometimes our short-term intentions and our long-term intentions are in direct opposition with each other. So let's say you're in a relationship and your partner like does something that you don't like, and it's something that you could let go of, but instead you choose to criticize it or, you know, mention it or whatever, even though you could probably get away with not doing that. She's like, the long-term intention there is that you want to have a healthy, happy relationship where, you know, your partner feels like they're not doing everything wrong, etc. But your short-term intention, you want to say, oh, you know, why did you get me like, so one of the things that is, just for context for people who don't know about anxious attachment or haven't experienced it themselves or with a partner who has it, it can be little things like, let's say your partner buys you like red roses and you hate red roses and you wanted like pink lilies, and they get you red roses and your first reaction is like, oh my god, they know I hate red roses, why did they get me red roses, this must mean that they don't listen to me, they don't, you know, if they loved me more, they'd be paying attention to like what I wanted, etc. And your short-term intention in that situation is to say something about it. I just touched the mic. Did that sound feedbacky to you guys? Sorry if so. So your short-term intention is to say something about it and you know, to like comment on it, but that's in opposition with your long-term intention, which is to kind of be appreciative of your partner and have a healthy, happy relationship. So what she was saying is that we very rarely do something more than once unless we're getting something from it, unless there's a payoff. So in this instance, the example that she was giving is if you said something about like whatever your partner did that, you know, wasn't up to your standards or didn't meet your need or whatever, and made you question their love for you, which is very common in anxious attachment styles, the payoff there is that you get a little release of the anxiety when you address it. So you get a little outlet of the anxiety, which is why you kind of, even though you just want to be grateful and happy that they got you flowers in the first place, you can't help sometimes like addressing or criticizing the fact that they weren't the exact thing that you wanted, for example, because of the because of the kind of what you get from like saying something and addressing it. So we're going to go to E now. A friend who, Joy, thank you for being here, and like hugs to you as well, and thank you again for your very generous donation. Really, really appreciate it, and for being here and just being such a ball of light and joy, like your name. And for anyone that doesn't know Joy, please follow her, please attend her live sessions, she is fantastic. So E has said, a friend who I've been distancing myself from, we're in a pattern of her saying, for example, I'll call you on Saturday, then I don't hear anything for 2 weeks. I guess it's a disorganized attachment thing. Just a bit more info. She'll contact me first, ask to meet / arrange a phone call. Then when I've responded saying yes, she'll disappear. Does anybody have any thoughts or feedback for E from their own personal experience? Because I'm going to share... Hi, Catherine. Lovely to see you. So, guys, Catherine is an amazing, amazing teacher on Insight Timer. And I really recommend her book if you haven't read it already. And also give her a follow. Please, like, attend her sessions. She's one of the first teachers that I came across. This book is called Befriend Yourself, by the way. The Self-Love Path to Peace. And it's fantastic. And I might do a little read. I might read a little excerpt if we have time at the end of the session. And by the way, it's 22:22 in London. I was saying earlier that I keep getting angel numbers and we're getting repeating numbers all the time. But Catherine was one of the first teachers on Insight Timer that I basically felt like an actual like personal kind of connection with. So I remember when I lived alone after a breakup a couple of years back, I started attending lives on Insight Timer just while I was brushing my teeth or doing the washing up and getting ready for bed. And I went to some of Catherine's lives, and I remember that was the first kind of time that I felt like a teacher really like welcomed me by name and things like that. And it was just such a lovely experience. And like Catherine's sessions are one of the first places where I felt the sense of community on Insight Timer. And even in my journey as a teacher now, she's been such a wonderful ally and supporter and friend. So yeah, I'm so grateful. And if anyone wants like all the good vibes, also go to her sessions. So around the situation, so Catherine, just to catch you up, We've done some crystal oracle cards, and I can pull one for you if you'd like at some point as well before the end. And we've also been looking at this book by Richard Bach, and essentially, you know, we if you kind of give me a number from 1 to 203, I can read out a little quote for you from it. So the book is like basically if you open it at a random page, you're supposed to get the guidance or wisdom that you need. So Catherine, I'm going to get one for you just now. So this is page 179. Your religion is your way of finding out what is true. And it's just meant to be like little notes that give you, oh, Catherine said 111. So you got a bonus on. Maybe that one could be for the group or for someone else that needs that message. We've been talking a lot about angel numbers today, Catherine. You adjust your perceptions to a certain frequency and call what you see this world. You can tune yourself to other frequencies whenever you wish. So E, have you been to my sessions before? Because I feel like I recognise your like name, but I don't know for sure. I think I did talk about this in one of my previous lives. I can't remember if it was the first or second one, or maybe even the third. But I talked about I think so. I don't think it was. It wasn't the last one. It was one of the first two. Ultimately, what I talked about is that sometimes with other people and in relationships and communication, we have to make a bit more effort, or we might have to be the one that follows through or follows up. And I've been asked before, like, what is the where do we draw the line in terms of like, what is too much chasing, or like, I don't want to be chasing someone. I think for me, it depends on a few things, and this would be my advice, is that I think that first of all, it depends on context, right? Like how long you've known people, how close you are to them, what kind of understanding you have of their life and their lifestyle. For example, if it's someone who works really long hours, or like barely has their phone on them, or has children or young children, I think having context on like what's going on for them, and are they like that just with you, or is that generally how they are, is quite useful and helpful. And also I think because the closer you are to someone, the more kind of understanding you have on, is this them not making an effort for me, or is this partly like their consistent overall energy. Oh, Karen, I will get one of the, I'm going to get one of the piggies now while we chat so that you can see them. I'm going to get Little Bear because I know you saw Pumpkin last time. So I think, yeah, ultimately it comes down to kind of, context. I think context is a really important thing. This is Little Bear. He's the smallest of all the boys. And he's a lovely boy. But I'll move my hair because otherwise he just looks like so I think it depends on how much context you have about kind of, what this friend's lifestyle is like, and what they, is it them being a bad friend, or is it them having stuff on? And I guess the other part of it is like, is it possible, or are you comfortable with, for example, when they say they'll call you on Saturday, of you being the one to call? Because someone asked me this earlier about kind of, not following. This is so I'll give you a little bit of context on Bear. He's like the littlest pig, and he has epilepsy, and he's slightly blind and slightly disabled, but he's like really healthy and doing really well now. But he and he can even, when it's their dinner time, I'll say to him like turn circles, and him and his brother Pumpkin will literally run around in circles for food. So some of you might have met Pumpkin on the last session, and if you haven't and you'd like to see Pumpkin is like the most kind of, if you had a guinea pig like in an advert or a commercial, Pumpkin is sort of like probably the most photogenic and the most like sort of perfect looking guinea pig. But yeah, you can see him at the end of my last live. And then we've also got Monkey, who I might bring out on the next session rather than this one. So someone, and it's worth you watching one of the previous lives that says that where I talk about this. Someone said, oh, this person like didn't reply to me, and what I said at the time, which is still what I stand by, is I think if it happens once or twice, and what the context is, but I think if it happens repeatedly, and if you're not comfortable with it, then I think it's worth kind of addressing it or mentioning it like in a nice way. I'm not sure if you have said anything previously. And I think also it's worth thinking about like whether, I don't know if you've mentioned anything to your friends, to your friend about it, but I think it's worth kind of setting a boundary and just like setting your expectations, or like communicating what you need or what you expect. The thing that I said in the live that I mentioned previously is that I said that basically, hang on, let me get uncomfortable. Yeah, I basically said that, I think that you might make effort in some ways in some friendships, and as long as you're not being taken for granted or taken advantage of, as long as the other person's also bringing something to the table and it's not a one-sided effort or relationship. But I think also sometimes our gut and intuition will guide us. Like ultimately, would I be right in thinking this is someone that you've known for a really long time as well? Yeah. So I think ultimately it could be that, you've reached a point in your life where you're growing and you're leveling up, and perhaps it's this isn't for you, and that's why naturally it's just happening. But at the same time, I think if you value the friendship, and actually if you feel like when you spend time with this person, when you do speak to this person, it does add value to your life, and it is important to you, then I think it could be worth the extra effort from your part, even if you feel like that's not ideally what you had in mind or what you wanted. What I refer to a lot, I say this so much recently, and I feel like, I'm sure I've not coined this, but I've started to talk about a lot of things using the terminology of exchange rate. So for me, if I was in your situation, I'd say I'd think about what is the exchange rate here. So if I have to be the one to always make the effort with this person and like follow up with them and chase them, and they don't always like respond to me, but if what I get when I do spend time with them, when I do speak to them, they do support me and care about me, and they have other ways of showing me effort and like love, then is the exchange rate worth it to me? That's how I would personally look at it, and I think that's something only you can kind of decide. That's what my advice would be about anything really. Any situation would be around kind of exchange rate, in terms of what is the trade-off here? What are you sort of like compromising on, or like having to let go of or reject, and what are you getting in exchange for that? That's my kind of feeling. Do you have any other kind of follow-up questions about that, or has anyone got any like observations or comments that we can share with you to support? So Bear's also quite a quiet piggy. He squeaks for food, but he's not. I know you guys probably remember from last week, Pumpkin was like purring away. So if anyone has any other questions that they want to ask, or anything that they want to kind of share, please do. I just wanted to make this session a little bit different. Like if there's anything that we can kind of support or help you with, or any questions generally that you had for me, about anything about piggies, for example, or just kind of anything that me or the community here can kind of support you with or give you a fresh perspective on, please do share. But meanwhile, would anybody like a crystal oracle card? We pulled a bunch of them earlier, so I can do a few more. We've got 156 meditators here. I don't know if everyone's just quietly like enjoying Bear, but please feel free to engage in the chat if you'd like to. And if not, I'm going to do a little read from Catherine's book. So I currently have started using like tarot cards and crystal oracle cards as bookmarks. So this is the one that I'm currently using as a bookmark in this book. From this I had pulled for me at our work Christmas party in December, the Ace of Swords. I'm going to have to... Can I do both? Can I hold Bear and read out? Let me see. Let me move my hair out of the way. So... I'm going to open Catherine's book at a random section and see what wisdom and love and joy Catherine has for us today. Which every like session that you go to with her is like absolutely wonderful. And this will be like a little taster of her vibe. So this is crazy because guys, we've talked about numbers coming up repeatedly this session. And number 13 has come up twice already. So first of all, someone said number 13 for the Richard Bach book, the page they wanted from that, the quote. And then I think it also came up another time for something else. So yeah. And now we've got chapter 13, self-forgiveness. Forgiveness is a gift to yourself, and this is a quote from Buddha. Accepting yourself exactly as you are right now, as well as everything in your past, will have an enormous impact on every aspect of your life. And now that we have realised there is no one to blame and that everyone else is doing the best they can, it's time to self-forgive, which is a key part of befriending and loving ourselves. First, try to be aware of when you're replaying all the memories that have hurt you and keep hurting you all over again. Next, ask what it is that you have found so unforgivable about yourself. Did you do or say something that you wish you hadn't? Innocent or guilt doesn't matter in this context. Forgiveness of others releases us from the past and lightens our load, freeing us from the heaviness of hate. Forgiveness of yourself is equally essential. So that's like a little taster. And also another thing that Catherine, I don't know if you're still here or if you know this, but the back cover of Catherine's book is lilac, and that's my favourite colour ever. Like even when I was a child, I had a lilac bedroom. I'm going to get one of the other piggies. I'm going to put Bear back. But if anyone wants to see him up close, his little face. I don't know if you guys are still here. Everyone's very quiet. Tommy, you've got so much wisdom today. Are you a teacher on here? Because if not, you should be. I'm just getting another piggy. I've got the microphone on me, so you guys should still be able to hear me. I'm gonna get Pumpkin because everyone seemed to love him last week, and he is the kind of I describe him as the hot one because he's like the blonde bombshell. This is Pumpkin, guys. And yeah, Catherine said there's an endorsement from David G on the back. Does anybody have a favourite piggy between Bear and Pumpkin so far? And Pumpkin is a lot more vocal than Bear. He's sniffing me because he can smell Bear on me. So Tommy, I want to read out what you've said. Everyone is a house with 4 rooms. Can everyone hear Pumpkin? Can you hear his little squeaks? Everyone is a house with 4 rooms, a physical, a mental, an emotional, and a spiritual. Most of us tend to live in one room most of the time, but unless we go into every room every day, Pumpkin, stop eating my necklace. Unless we go into every room every day, even if only to keep it aired, we're not a complete person. That's wonderful, Tommy. Where is that quote from and how did you come across it? And yeah, Catherine's mentioned that David G, or is it David G or David G? Pumpkin is eating my necklace right now. Hey, stop it, little hungry pig. Pumpkin is like the hungriest piggy. He is always, always, always eating. So it is 10:38. So I will probably wrap up and say goodnight. Unless ever anyone wants to hang out and stay longer, I can stay on for a little while longer, but I'm also aware that I don't want to take up too much of your time tonight. I hope you guys have had a fun, or at least interesting Friday night with me. And yeah, Catherine, it might be worth watching the replay because there were some funny moments earlier when you get a chance. Does anyone have any kind of closing remarks or anything final that they want to ask or share? And also, again, thank you guys all for being here. And Tommy, thank you so much for your donation. I really appreciate that. I'm a fairly new teacher on Insight Timer, and as some of you know from me mentioning in my previous sessions, I've gone through redundancy at work in the last couple of months. So Insight Timer is currently my main source of income, and any support that you give me kind of allows me to like invest in kind of doing these lives. And you know, I've bought little things like these microphones which are not particularly fancy ones, but they work well and do the job for now. But I will eventually sort of invest in both upskilling and learning more about, you know, different softwares and equipment and things like that. But yeah, it just allows me to kind of, you know, put my time aside to do these lives for you. Thank you, Catherine. Really appreciate that. And, you know, one thing that Catherine always says on her lives is that I think a lot of the teachers on Insight Timer here are like just absolutely wonderful and, you know, giving their time sort of voluntarily. And I think we all get so much out of this app. And just, you know, even a small donation, I think the smallest amount is like $1.99. It's like less than a cup of coffee these days, but it really makes a big difference. And it's not so much about the money, it's more just about kind of, you know, showing teachers that you value them and that, you know, if you took something away from this session or enjoyed it. But equally, other ways to support me and other teachers, like please follow me, please follow other teachers like Catherine and Joy, or any teachers who you kind of enjoy and find value in. And you can kind of share our sessions and review and rate our tracks. And another thing as well that would be really helpful is I have a link tree in my bio, and on there, if you're open to kind of following me on YouTube, that's something that I'm trying to kind of grow as well, and I'll be putting more content on there as well. But for now, kind of all my 3 previous live sessions are on there already. So Tommy's last thought: the reason we're here is to experience the universe through our unique perspective. Be unique, be truth, be love. Absolutely. And what I will do, I'm going to put Pumpkin down if anyone wants to say bye to him, and get a final quote from the Richard Bach book. And if anyone would like one before we wrap up, please give me a number between 1 and 203, and I will read one out for you. But in terms of for group message, this is page 138. Every person, all the events of your life are there because you have drawn them there. What you choose to do with them is up to you. So Tommy, 108 for you. And Tommy, have you had a crystal oracle card? And if not, would you like one? So 108 for Tommy. Even when you're brought together by miraculous magnetizing, you still have to work out problems. And B, 201 for you. So this is for B. Sacrifice is giving up something you want for something you don't want. It is never required. That's interesting. Sacrifice is giving up something you want for something you don't want. Okay, let's pull a crystal oracle card for Tommy, and I'm also going to pull one for Jennifer and Catherine, who very, very kindly donated. Thank you for your support, guys. I really appreciate it. And please do follow me, and you can find out more about my kind of other sessions on here as well. And yeah, we can have more. This is a very cool card, Tommy. Azurite. It literally looks like a galaxy. I've never seen it before. Enhance your creativity. You have it within you. And then this is one. I've never seen it or heard of it. It's actually like so pretty. Also, can anybody give me some feedback if you've been to my sessions before? Have I said like a lot less than I usually would? Has anyone noticed at all? Because that's something that I'm trying to do, but I do it subconsciously. So, okay. So this is for Catherine. Catherine, you've got soda light. A sense of calm to weather the storms of life. And that is very much you. That's your vibe. Well, one of your vibes, because you have so many lovely, positive, awesome vibes. A sense of calm to weather the storms of life. And then for Jennifer, who also donated. And Jennifer, if you'd like a quote from the Richard Bach book, please let me know. Ooh, this is a pretty one. So the name is misleading because it's not blue, but this crystal oracle card is blue lace. Is it agate? Agate, isn't it? Blue lace agate. I don't know why, but I'm suddenly like, I'm just said like, I think I jinxed myself. I've suddenly lost the ability to pronounce this one. I know I think it's agate, but agate. Does anyone know? Blue lace, agate, whatever it might be. Have a positive attitude, encourage and support others. And Jennifer, do you want to give me a number from 1 to 203? And I can read you a little quote from the Richard Bach book. 88. We actually had 88 before, so you might have missed this, but I think things come up again because they're meant to. Maybe this is a message that as a group we're meant to hear again. How do you want to come out of this experience? How do you want to be changed because of it? Is there a specific experience that you can relate to with that, or that you kind of, that resonates with you around? And we're going to end on a little, I say game, but it's not quite a game, but it's one of the things that I had put aside to kind of do today together. It's this book called Two Kinds of People, a visual compatibility quiz. So you guys can tell me in the comments, do you, and this is a bunch of them here, so I'm only going to run through a few, but when you have a box of cereal, do you just kind of fold the bag over and leave it, or do you use a chip clip or rubber band or something to seal it off? Which kind of person are you? I'm very much this kind of person. So let's say 1 for just leaving it and 2 for like chip clipping. But I mean, obviously, just you can type it in if you want as well. I'm definitely a kind of seal it type of person. Okay, the next one is, do you just put everything in the trash or do you also recycle? This is, I feel like some people have different opinions on this. I personally do recycle. I know a lot of people kind of say nowadays that, oh, it goes to the same place and, you know, there's no, there's no point recycling, and I've heard that before, but for me, I feel like at least I've tried to do my part, and what happens after that is kind of out of my hands. But yeah, I'm a recycle person for sure. Okay, and then this. Baking a cake from scratch or using instant cake mix. I'm a bake a cake from scratch type of person. Although, I think like in childhood, I have really good memories of, you know, using the instant cake mix that came with like the little rice paper things with, I feel like there was like a Tom and Jerry one, and they had little like Tom and Jerry rice paper sticky things that you put on top. And I kind of actually remember those cakes being delicious, and I don't know that they were delicious. or if it was just kind of, in childhood things sort of taste better. Yeah, and Jennifer, you're saying you definitely recycle and you buy recycled items as well. I'm such a big fan of like making sure that I rehome things, or also where possible if I buy books, unless I'm supporting kind of like friends or teachers or people I know, I try to either buy secondhand books or better yet go to the library. And we've talked about this before, but kind of libraries are really, really amazing, really lovely community hubs. And if you have a local library, even if you don't think that you're a library person, or, it's easier to go to the store or go to Amazon, I recommend going to the library, because what's interesting about browsing in a library is you might come across books that you otherwise wouldn't come across, or that you might not you might not try otherwise. Because if you're in a bookshop or even on Amazon, if you've got to buy a book and invest something in it, you kind of might feel a bit more pressure to only buy books that you definitely want or that you're definitely keen to read. Whereas, there's times where I go to the library and I'll pick up something that just looks mildly interesting, and it kind of doesn't really matter, or I've not lost anything if I read it or I don't read it, or even if I give it a try and don't really like it. There's no downside really. And I don't know how many of you are kind of in the UK and where else in the world you're from, but in the UK, at least in London and my local library, you can take out like 30 books, and you can also renew them multiple times. So like, I think I've got books at the moment that I've had for a couple of months, but you can renew them up to 6 months or something in my local library, as long as no one's requested it. You can renew it. If someone else has like reserved it or requested it, then you have to return it sort of sooner. But yeah, I just go kind of every couple of months and I'll get like a big stack of books out. I don't get 30, I'll get like maybe 6 or 7, but yeah, highly recommend it. I will probably sign off now because I can feel my throat sort of telling me that I've been talking for quite a long time. But if anyone has anything that they want to share or say as a kind of final little thing. Oh my god, B, you're at the library right now. Yay. And you're in the US. Lovely. What are you doing at the library? Are you taking books out, or are you there to like study, or just kind of have some like hangout time? But yeah, I recommend, if you've got time this weekend, like check out your local library, or even in the week. Does anyone have any fun weekend plans that they want to share and tell us about? Or does anyone have any ideas of what people can do this weekend if they have some time to fill? And Jennifer used to work in libraries in college. Yeah. Study room and listening in. Well, good luck with your studying, B. I hope it goes well, and thank you so much for being here and listening. And deep breathwork session tomorrow. Yeah, I need to do more of that myself, to be honest. One thing that I am going to endeavour to do more this weekend, and will do with a friend tomorrow, I like to go to the park just behind my apartment actually, and walk barefoot, because I don't know whether you guys know about kind of earthing / grounding, it's also called, and the benefits of it, but ultimately, yeah, exactly, grounding. So because we spend a lot of time touching and interacting with like electronics and electronic devices, I believe, this is what I've kind of read and heard, I might have the wording wrong, but we hold some of that charge in our bodies. And if we walk outside on like beach or sea, like in water basically, or grass or kind of earth, anything that's kind of actually in contact ultimately with the earth and like the ground, we release that charge into the earth or the ground. There's also devices you can buy. There's things that you can, like bed sheets you can get, or mats for grounding, where it plugs into the wall and it goes into earth wire, which ultimately does connect into the earth. So that's another way of doing it if you can't get outside that much. I personally haven't tried any of those things, but yeah, I do find that at least like it is peaceful, and it makes me feel kind of a little bit more relaxed afterwards, and it's kind of quite a nice pleasant thing to do and connect with nature. And usually you're looking down at the grass while you do it because you want to make sure you don't step on anything horrible. So that's quite sort of soothing and peaceful in itself. Like, you don't feel like you're in a park in the middle of a city. You sort of just can see green and mud. But I'm going to sign off and I'm going to say goodnight. But if anyone wants to support me, as I said, I would really appreciate any follows, any donations, if you're able to support in that way. I think the smallest amount is $1.99. And yeah, it just kind of shows me that you've had some value and enjoyed my session, and gives me kind of encouragement and resources to do more in future. But equally, I appreciate support through kind of follows on here and on my YouTube channel, which you can find through my link tree, and also sharing my content, my sessions with kind of people in your life who you think would benefit as well. And I know, kind of as I said, today's session has been a little bit different in terms of the focus hasn't been as strongly on community and connection and kind of tips and suggestions around that. But in my first 3 sessions, there's a lot more of that. So please have a listen, have a watch, and you can kind of catch up on some of those themes and tips. And especially for E, there was that very much that kind of comment and conversation around like making an effort with people, and if you don't get the same back, and where to kind of draw the line and things like that, and you know, how to navigate those sorts of situations. So yeah, I hope this has been helpful for everyone, or at least you know, a nice like hangout on a Friday night. And thank you for your time, thank you for your support, thank you to everybody that donated. I believe it was Joy, Catherine, Jennifer and Tommy. Yeah, and thank you for just your time, your energy, being here, listening, and helping to support me on my Insight Timer teacher journey, because I absolutely love doing these sessions, and it's been such a lovely thing. And honestly, I was looking forward to coming back from Istanbul to like hang out with you guys, so really appreciate it. And Catherine, when is your next session? Will you let us know? Do you have one scheduled? And is there anything else that you want to share around how people can kind of find you or support you? I recommend Catherine's book though. You can find that on Amazon. Just to reiterate, it's called Befriend Yourself, The Self-Love Path to Peace. Yeah, check out Catherine's link tree, give her a follow, and then hopefully I'll see you guys at her next live next week, depending on what time it is, because sometimes it's a little past my bedtime, although I'm really bad. I go to bed much later than I should. I'm sure I'm not the only one here that does that, because I see a lot of people from London also on other teachers' lives quite late at night. But I'm going to say goodnight, and thank you everybody for being here. Like, sincerely, it was such a lovely Friday night, and take care of yourselves, and hopefully see you soon. I will have I'll do another live session next week. I think Thursday next week is the most likely day. So it will probably be again UK 9 p.m. time, because that seems to be a good time for everybody. So, you know, pop it in your diaries, and hopefully we will connect there. And if there's any particular kind of themes or topics that anyone wants me to cover, I think Thursday's one will be a little bit more of a theme and topic the way that some of the previous sessions have been. But if anyone has anything specific that they have in mind, like, please let me know. But otherwise it will be kind of more around sort of building community and authentic, meaningful connection, and how we go about doing that. Night, everybody. Take care and have a lovely, lovely weekend. And yeah, do something nice for yourselves. Do something that makes you feel like joy and happiness. You know, watch or listen to something funny, and yeah, stay positive and happy and well. Bye guys. Good night.